asks, is cybersecurity a price taker or a price giver? Would such stocks be a good inflation hedge or not? Which I think is a very, very good question, especially that second part of it. So as we were sort of discussing, within tech, John, you reckon that cybersecurity firms could be as much of a safe haven as you can get within the sector. It's always interesting with the idea with tech and with inflation. Tech and inflation generally shouldn't go that well together, or inflation and growth stocks should not go that well together. Many tech stocks are growth stocks. What do you think? Say, for example, this inflationary environment persists for quite a long period of time, as we both expect. And just this week we've seen even better inflation statistics coming out. The numbers just keep going up.
Oh yeah.
How do you think that sector really will perform if we see this, go for the next decade? So, do you think you'd grow your capital in the sector, or is this something that would manage to keep its value? What do you reckon?
Well, for reasons we've already sort of discussed, I think that cybersecurity as a subsector within tech is on a secular growth trend, which is going to allow it to behave as a somewhat uncorrelated asset to the general macro cycle, and to the extent that big tech has at least some general macro correlation. I think that again is a good way both to diversify, that is to overweight cybersecurity, to diversify and to participate in secular growth during what could be a very challenging environment for big tech. Now, when I say big tech, it's the problem with the whole tech sector now, right, is that it actually encompasses so many other sectors. It's actually becoming a mistake just to lump it all together. And I fault myself for doing that now and again. And so when you look back at the history of tech vis-a-vis inflation and growth versus value, tech back in the 70s, in the stagflation, it really was concentrated in computing and processing power. Really just in speeding stuff up. It wasn't yet permeating lots of other industries. Of course, eventually it will. And now look where we are today. But the funny thing is, if you look at a company like Microsoft today, I mean, it's getting to the point where you can almost regard Microsoft as a public utility. And to some extent, that may also be true, less so, but I think to some extent, it may also be true of Google, Alphabet, for example. That is, these are companies that it's almost impossible to go through and live a normal life anymore without some exposure to their product. Just like you have to have your electrical firm, you got to have your water supplier, okay, your utilities. They're just necessary industries. That said, in tech, they're still relatively unregulated, whereas public utilities, when it comes to energy and water and whatnot, are generally quite highly regulated industries. But anyway, getting back to this cybersecurity topic, not only is that sector essentially unregulated, it does, I believe, have this potential for secular growth, and as a defensive source of secular growth, I think it's an ideal place to rotate into for people that up to now have simply been riding the general big tech train that's done so well in recent years.
Yeah, that is it does feel like something we're going to see an awful lot more of. As I referred to, the fact there's only a couple of cybersecurity ETFs, for example, there aren't that many publicly listed like pure cybersecurity companies out there. But it does feel like it's something we'll see a fair bit more of, and maybe
one thing to consider, however, and this is something one always has to keep in mind: it is possible that an existing, more traditional security firm or defense firm will look to acquire a cybersecurity company. So there's some buyout opportunity here. You mentioned Lockheed Martin earlier. What if Lockheed Martin decide they want to buy up some up and coming cybersecurity firms so they can add that arrow to their quiver? I mean, this is anyway. It's something to keep in mind that there are a lot of upstarts. It's difficult to get exposure, but the potential is there that some of them get bought up, and so you might want to just get a general exposure, regardless of the specific story in each case, in the hope that that you get bought out at some point.